At what point did you know like this could be a career for you? Was it when you booked the Finding Ohana role? Was that like your big break?
Yeah, I definitely think I always consider Finding Ohana my big break. It was so when I was in LA, when I started to work, I got into commercials first, and I was really lucky because I was living in LA in the time of ethnically
Oh, so you're
ambiguous.
the token
I
Hawaiian, the
was the
token Polly.
token ethnically ambiguous because that was the thing in commercial world. Like, they on auditions and stuff they'll put like sometimes like a race or ethnicity that they like want, but in a commercial most of the time they don't really care. It's more of like they have an image of what they're trying to say. So it's like the girl driving the new Lexus, like she's like Japanese, and it's like okay ish, and then it's like then they just see girls and then like they're like you look kind of Asian. I mean like I got cast. It was actually pretty crazy. It was way before you know a lot of these movements where like and even in casting we're starting to be a lot more culturally appropriate and trying to be more careful with ethnic backgrounds and things like that for casting, which is awesome. But back then, I mean, just a few years ago, that wasn't even a thing. So in the commercial world, really, they were casting anything. So they would be casting me for Indian, Hispanic, Persian, like anything. Like they changed me just a little, and I worked. And luckily in commercial world, it just wasn't a major part of the story ever. It was just what they were looking for in their head, and they're like, if you look like it, good enough for us. So like I was working pretty constant in commercials, which is it's really fun. Commercials are a fun world, and I always tell actors like you should get into it, especially if you're just starting off. It's what gave me a lot of my understanding of set. And when you're on set, it's so fast. It's loud. There's so many moving parts. Everyone has a job, and like if you're an actor coming in for like a one-time one-liner thing, it's super overwhelming if you don't have any concept of what's going on in set. So when me doing all these commercial shoots, I was able to really learn and see what the pacing is and how quick you have to be and how on you have to be, cameras, angles, lights, all these types of things. So I did that for like 5 years. And then my team, I love them, and we kind of had this talk of like, hey, you didn't move to LA and uproot your life back home to just be a commercial actress, like you know that what you came out here was because you wanted to be in film and television. And it kind of was like that wake up that I was like, oh yeah, like I got complacent with just being in commercials. And again, I was still working my regular jobs, but it was like I got a little complacent with that place I was in because commercials, they pay well, they're fun, they're easy. You get a sense of gratification like you're pursuing your dream there. But I knew for me what I wanted was to be in movies, to be in television. And so we kind of reshifted and really started to focus in more on the film and television side. Like there's different types of agents you get. That's why, because you have a commercial agent that's only for your commercials. There's print agents, theatrical agents, which will send you out to film and television. So we kind of refocused, got with a good theatrical agent, and like I want to say it was like within the first, I would just say year to have a safe zone, but it was within the first year that Finding Ohana came our way. And that was
That's awesome.
crazy one because, again, there was nothing for Polynesians at that time. So when that came through and we saw on the audition breakdown that it's like looking for real Hawaiians, and I was like, like
Real Hawaiian.
grass skirts and like coconuts or something. Like, okay, I didn't really take it serious. And like, Hollywood, they like to be sneaky sometimes, so they don't like put things like they're like untitled project. So you don't know lots of information. And I don't know, I think this might be the first time I publicly shared this story that like I actually almost didn't go to the audition. I almost missed it because as I said, I was working, I had like a day job and things like that. And the audition came through. I didn't have a lot of information about it. Me getting complacent and lazy a little at times that I forgot. This was also another thing for industry wise. Before it was like you get your audition, it's the next day. It's like
It's that
it's so
quick.
quick. Sometimes same day. So it's really fresh in your mind. This is the first time I ever got an audition, and I remember it was like the audition wasn't for a week and a half or 2 weeks or something. So it easily floated to the back of my mind. I didn't think of it, and so grateful. My friend, she called me, and she was like, the day before, she's like, "Are you going to that audition?" Because again, any Hawaii person was all going to this audition. We all go to the same auditions together. And she's like, "I went to mine. Are you going to yours?" I was like, "Oh my God, I forgot." I was like, "Holy moly." So I like rushed, learned all my lines, got it all prepared. And the next day I went. It was like such a great audition. And as our history goes again, I didn't hear anything for like a month. I forgot about it. You audition and you throw it to the back of your mind. That's the only way. Yeah. It's the only way you stay sane. If you stay on the same project and keep thinking about it, you go literally crazy.
Keep checking your phone.
Yeah, literally calling your agent.
Yeah.
Did you hear anything? Did you hear anything? And so you have to find this separation to just like try not to think about it. And then like a month went by. I didn't hear anything. And then, and every project is different. There's different steps: audition, callback, second callback, producer session, chemistry read. There's so many different things. So you never know how they're going to operate it. But this one, it was like, I did the audition. A month later, they called me in and I had to do a chemistry read. And so they do these things called chemistry reads, where essentially they're just testing chemistry between actors. So whether it's a romantic couple, brother, sister, families, friends, like they just want to see if we throw these three actors together and they're going to be the lead of this, like, are they going to actually be able to blend, Like I know they're actors, but sometimes it doesn't. It's weird. It's interesting to see. So I did that. And that was actually where I first met Alex and Kea. That was so fun. We love that day, because that was the moment I realized. I was like, oh, chemistry reads work, because when we got together, it was just like instant like connection, and it was so fun, and you could see that spark right away. And I was like, oh, I see why they do these things, because like like some of the other ones, like we got along and it kind of worked, but there was a kind of magic when the three of us came together. So we did that, and then I think again maybe a month went by, and then we got the call, and that call is like, that was your typical LA dream. It's like the best thing to ever think about. Like when you see in the movies, like you get the call.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm at home, get the call. It's my management. Hi, Lindsay. Like, where are you? I'm like, I'm at home. They're like, okay, we have a few people on the line right now. And I was like, okay. And they're like, are you sitting down? I was like, yeah. I was like, they're like, you booked the role of Hana. And I was like, oh, I mean, like that was the best feeling ever. I was home by myself too. Of course, that sucks. I'm like running around my apartment.
Trying
Like
to
I didn't
people.
literally, I'm like, thank you. I was like, and I was just like screaming and freaking out. Cause I mean, I'd worked, I definitely was, I was no overnight person. I didn't walk into LA and get it handed to me. Like I did my work and I was training and I did, and I had so many no's. I'd read for a lot of things and never worked. And like to have the thing finally click, it was like that relief of just like feeling like you're validated in what you love so much and what you're trying to pursue. And so it was just, that was the turning point for me. It was like that happened. And it was so exciting to call everyone.
Who was the first person you called?
I called my parents.
Okay.
Yeah. I called my parents. I mean, even them, they didn't even have like a concept of like understanding
How big it was.
Yeah, like, and they're so supportive regardless, but it was just like, yeah, I mean, like I think I had an inkling of how big this was, but then as it started to unfold, I was like, oh my God. And I think it also helped because I was in the LA scene and circle. I had a lot of friends that this happened to, you go to acting class, you're all friends, you're just like working and stuff, and then it's like, boom, so-and-so booked their job, and it's just like this turning point, and it's so exciting to watch it happen. And like I always made sure to keep myself in circles where it was always people pushing each other up and not pulling each other down, because it happens often there. It's a competitive industry, and it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard. But yeah, it was just like calling everyone, going into that motion, and then it was immediate of just like, oh man, that's when it got kind of like serious, because that's when like negotiations and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. I'm like, but I gotta play it cool. Like, yes, I booked this. We have to negotiate.
Yeah,
Netflix.
yeah. I'm not that excited.
Yeah, I'm like, whatever. I'm like, okay, what do you guys?
Yeah,
what are we talking?
HBO has another deal for me waiting. I mean,
so it was like such a geeky,
maybe add one more zero to the end of that contract.
I'm like, that's it. As I'm working a day job as like a front desk girl at a gym, yeah, I'm like, that's all you want to pay. I'm like, but it was like such a crazy world, and I was just really lucky. I had a good team that like got me through that, because it was a lot. Again, it's that it really, and like I don't like saying the overnight stardom type thing, because it's like it really wasn't overnight, because I worked, I really pounded the pavement to get there, but it was this overnight change of like direction for sure, because then from there getting into it, and it was so exciting when you're finally in a project and attached to a project. It's really fun, because like a lot of the life of an actor is just trying to get the job,
just castings,
just trying to get the job, and wanting and chasing and networking and this, and it's like it's hurtful, it's exhausting. And then when you get the job and you get into it, we actually get to the part we love as actors, the creatives, where we get
acting.
We get to act, we get to create. I got the role of Hana, and it's like she's something on paper, but like, what am I gonna do to bring her to life? How do I bring Lindsay to her? And that's what we as actors love, is like, how do we bring these characters to life and add essence of ourselves, because that's what makes actors so special, is just what you can bring yourself to the role. And so it was nice to finally be on that relief side of just like, oh, I get to just enjoy and do what I actually love, and not fight for a job like every single day. And it just made it so much better that it was the coolest production ever, and so fun. The nicest people. So for me, Kea, and Alex, it was all of our first movie. So the 4 leads, me, Kea, Alex, and then Owen, who was the boy who plays Casper.
The Hale boy?
Yeah, the Hale boy. He was like, how old was he then? Like, I think he was 12, and he had already, I think Finding Ohana was like his 9th or 10th movie in his life.
Wow.
We're like, okay. We got a pro on set. So he kind of was like a nice guide for us to know. You had these 3 Polynesian kids just like geeking out everywhere we're going, and he's like, guys, like, it's not like that. We're like, okay, sorry. Like, we're trying to figure it out. But it was just exciting to get into it, and then getting into the work. And a lot of people did tell us, hey, don't expect every production to be like this. This is a very special, unique one, because our director was awesome. Our producers were awesome. Our whole crew was awesome. Everyone was very Ohana. Like, literally, it was so family. And, we were here and filmed most of it here in Hawaii. But then cave-wise, I was
wondering where that was at.
Yeah, so we had to do that in Thailand. There's a lot of, actually a couple places here that we couldn't bring a whole production team into caves and things like that. So, they tried to with, the government and stuff, but it was just a lot of red tape, which makes sense. I was like, hey, I'd rather us not go in there, because I know how dangerous it could be to like our caves are smaller and a lot more intimate.
We know, we saw the movie.
Exactly. Right. Obviously. Yeah, and if you didn't,
real life story.
Yeah. So we filmed that in Thailand, actually. So it was really nice. And it was so crazy how like Thailand is so like Hawaii. There's such an island people like us, so very similar in how they treat people and how they care for themselves and care for others. And it was really nice, and they were so gracious to bring us in, and like, God, they're hard workers. They're such great workers. But yeah, again, even just all of that, like, to an actor who just, we're like filming in Hawaii and filming in Thailand and going around the world. It was like,
it must have felt so cool.
It was so cool. Yeah. It was so cool.
Your friend's like, hey, can you go hang out this weekend? Oh, sorry, I'm heading to Thailand right now.
It was such a
we'll catch up later.
Yeah. I'll get back to you. But it was that kind of moment you were trying to fight to get to, and when it was there, it was awesome. And like,
amazing feeling.
Yeah, and I hope for every actor that they get to experience that, because I know the dark part of it. I know the hard part of it, and I say it's worth it now that I've seen the other side, but not everyone has seen the other side. And it's like that's kind of a big part of why I'm so open to coming back always and helping as many people as I can, you know. I mean, I do it out in LA too, but I mean, out here is where I'd prefer to spend most of my time. It's just,
this is your community.
Yeah, this is my community. This is my people. It's where I feel safest. It's where I feel most motivated. And I always like when I look at, especially some younger ones that have come through, like it's that so stereotypical, but I see myself when I was young, and I wish I had something like this. I wish I had programs like, so when I have the opportunity to be that person for them now, I'm so stoked. And you know, like I said, with I'm happy that there's an actual program that's doing it, and people that are in bigger positions and, you know, in places of power that are helping with this, because that's the only way we're gonna like shift this narrative and be able to get more people in the door, more Hawaiians in the door, more locals in the door, is that if the people in power are the ones controlling it. So yeah, and then, you know, after Finding Ohana, it was like we went straight into COVID. It was a weird transition of like, you felt all this momentum. We were like, had all these things planned, like premieres and all this stuff, and literally everything went. It was crazy. That's where kind of I feel sad of like, we never got to have that yet. Like I still,
a proper tour kind of thing.
Like as an actor, I still, haven't really had that proper, really fun movie release, premiere and everything.
Ward.
Yes,
that's basically
our thing.
Basically like the red carpet in Hollywood, right?
We were like, this is our version of
the Hawaii theater.
Yeah. Ward, obviously.
Consolidated theaters.
Obviously, the same exact thing. So
yeah, so you're good already.
So I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, stop complaining. Yeah, come on. Why? Isn't that like the Met Gala or something?
Right, yeah. Met, Consolidated Theaters, Ward, Bukit and Beppo. Like, you know, like it's
Escalator.
All the same. Yeah. Broken Escalator.
Dave and Buster.
We did actually do something at Dave and Buster's.
Met Gala don't got Dave and Buster's.
Yeah, I know. I'm dead. But yeah, so it's kind of like, there's still so many things as an actor. I still consider myself literally new and starting.
Just beginning.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the exciting part, because you've already like tasted this, you know, success, and then it's still so early.
Yeah.
Like that, for me, that's like with this podcast, it's like, man, it's only been 2 years since we've been doing this, and like, look how far we've come, and like sponsors, and like I could do this for a living now. Yeah. And I'm just like, what is it going to be like in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years if podcasts are still a thing, right? I mean, just like, look at Kelly Hu. Like, she's had like such a long career, right?
I love her.
And like, you've been, you know, I guess in the spotlight, I would say, since like Finding Ohana. Yeah. Right? And that's only what, 3 years?
It was
since it came out 2021.
Yeah. I know, and it's so funny, and it's nice to have conversations like that to remind myself, because I get so hard on myself, you know, when I feel like I'm not where I want to be. And I always try to have like perspective to be like, yeah, hey, but look what you have done, and, you know, look how it has helped people, look how it has shaped, you know, and changed a lot of things in the industry. I feel like Finding Ohana was one of the first things in the last few years that kind of started to open that narrative of like, look, a story about Hawaii in Hawaii, and we can film here and we shoot. So it's like, I have to remind myself, because I want a lot of things. I'm a super, super driven person, and there's so many things going on in here. And it's like, when I don't have it right now, I like look inward, and I'm like, I get down on myself. And I think reminding myself that it's like, it's just the beginning. You've already done good, and now what else? I mean, it's so, I love, when I was on Wind of the Reckoning, this was such a great thing for me that really put me into perspective, because I think even while I was filming Wind of the Reckoning, I was still just like, I need to do more. And I remember talking to Jason, and like, he was telling me about like his breakout role and everything in this movie. And when we were talking, I realized that the age he was the age I was. And I was like, God, I look at Jason like such like a pillar, you know, in this industry, and he's so successful, and I respect him so much. And I was like, and I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, I'm just such like, I'm so behind, like, what a little loser, like. And I'm like, oh my God, like, this thing where he started was like, I'm at that age, like that, I'm just starting. Like, look at his career, what he's created for himself, and what he's done, and how he's full circle come back to Hawaii, and you know he's connected again. So I'm like, okay, I got time.
Yeah, there's always those examples like have you heard of Patrick Stewart before X-Men?
Yeah.
And then, you know, he was in Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, you know? So it's like people have late starts in their career, even like the people, like business-wise, you know, like I think Apple, like when Steve Jobs created Apple, he was already like pretty old, and like all those examples like that. So yeah, it's exciting for us, and especially for Hawaii kids to like kind of pave this path for the future generation and show that it is possible to do something, to be passionate about something, to do what you love and make a living. The Finding Ohana role that you had, I thought it was so perfect for you because it was a local girl who had dreams to go to, you know, was it Juilliard or something?
Juilliard.
Yeah. And I saw some interviews with you about that and saying like it was like basically what you
it was literally
were striving for. So I think that's why it came out so authentic on screen. And it was such a fun, just joyride watching that, because I only recently watched Finding Ohana. I remember when it came out, but I just never got around to it.
Yeah, no.
And then I finally watched it.
I'm gonna forgive you for that. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you shouldn't. I don't know why it took me so long.